Okay, we're going to go through a cue-free controller programming. We're just doing phases 1 through 8. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you. But this is just going to be 1 through 8. If you don't have all the phases, then of course you leave out the ones you're not using. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so here we are in the cue-free controller emulator. This is just showing you that I've got nothing programmed. This is completely blank. There's no preloaded database, nothing. This is set as TS2 default, but I've got this also set up here just to show that I'm not using any pre-built database. I've got this set as blank default, and this is the active database. So if you go back up here, there you go, blank default active. So go back to the app, and we're going to do this through the front panel, since this is usually the case for most people is you don't have a laptop or your vehicle's being worked on, so you don't necessarily have what you need on hand. So let's go to front panel emulator here. Just minimize that since we're going to do all this over here. So just to make this easier here, so we're going to go to number 2 here for controller, and we're going to start off on unit, so 1. Startup flash time, I'm going to do, let's say, 6 seconds, and then I'm just going to arrow down. Now, down here on backup time, I'll change this to 60. This is for calls coming in, just to basically hold them, but you need to have all this in here. Startup clearance hold time, it's defaults. The rest of this is pretty well, this is all default settings. If these are all zeros, make these ones. As long as your screen matches, you're good. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape to go back 1. And then we're going to go to 2 for phase and 1 for phase timing plan. And I'm just going to hit enter. This takes me automatically into phase timing plan 1. So if I have peds, say on 2, 4, 6, and 8, I'm just hitting 7 when I go arrow over to each one. Okay. Now I need to put min green times in since we're doing this as it emulated. Let's say our left turn's at 4 seconds, 20 seconds on the main line, 4 here. Let's give them 15 for 4 and 8. So this one would be 4. This one would be 20. Normally you wouldn't do this. This would be, let's make it more realistic. So let's put that as 10. This is 8, and this is 10. And then we'll go with 4 for a left turn for min green, and then another 8 seconds. Nope, I messed up there. So let's go back to it and put 8 in. There we go. And passage, typically it's 2 seconds as default, so we'll just put 2 here. So let's do 2-0, arrow, 2-0, arrow, 2-0, 2-0, and 2-0. And I'm just using the arrow keys to go back and forth here. So max time, put 15 seconds there. Let's say 50 seconds max on this. Another 15. 25 there. Another 15. Another 50. And we'll do 15 on our left turns. This is just max time, so 25 here. And now I need to do some yellow change, or minimum yellow. Typically it's 3 as a default on everybody's, so 3. Yep, there you go. Made an error. Okay, so we need to be 3-0. So let's say 3-5 here, 3-0 there, 3-0 there, another 3-0 and 3-5, 3-0 and 3-0. Now on the red clearance, let's make them all 2 seconds. 2 0 arrow, 2 0 arrow. Okay, so that's all we need for that. The rest of this should be zeroed out. So we're going to hit escape. Now we're going to go to 2, enter. So none of my phases are enabled. We're only doing 1 through 8. So we got to hit yes or no, or in this case, I'm using a keyboard since I'm on the emulator. So I'm just hitting the equals or plus sign. You can hit minus. It does the exact same thing. You can do plus or minus. It's just an entry key is all. So now I've got 1 through 8 enabled. I need to do a flash entry and a flash exit. So let's do 2 and 6. So when it comes up out of flash, it starts off on 2 and 6. And we'll do 4 and 8 here. Okay. Non-actuated. Typically it's your 2 and 6 movement because you're using back loops or back detection of some sort. Let's see here. Now, non-locking, so if I have a number here, that means that there's no lock detection. If there is a number, that means you're good. It's using the detection to actually actuate the light there. So, where we're at now is min vehicle recall. Since I don't have any traffic, because this is just an emulated environment, let's go ahead and put min vehicle recall on everybody. Okay, so that this will be cycling, and since we don't have any ped buttons, let's make the peds call here. And we've got to turn dual entry on. Nope. Nope. I'm getting too fast on myself here. Alright, so that should be it for that. So escape. So we can go into global phase recalls. If you want to turn recalls on there, you can do that as well, but it's not necessary since we already did it on phase option plans. So there's nothing else in this screen we need to do. So we're going to go to 3 for sequence and 1 for sequences. Just hit enter. This is your ring structure. So let's say you were only needing there was no phase 3. So you would hit enter there, you would arrow over till you get to 3, and you just hit minus, and minus again. So you get rid of the number you're getting rid of, plus the comma. And what the A is and the B is, this is your divider, your barriers. And the comma is just the splits, the lines between each one. Since I'm not, so when I go back to this one, I don't have 3. I am wanting to use 3, so let's put 3 back in. So we're going to hit enter on there again. So I'm going to arrow over to where 3 should be. So I need to put a 3. You just can't hit 3. You got to go through them all. So there's 3. And I need to put a comma between here and here and here. So how do we put a comma in? Well, that's your 0 key. So there's 0. And I was highlighting 3. So there should be an L to insert this. So I'll put 4 again. There we go. And then I gotta hit a comma again here. And then we're gonna put B in. I hit the wrong key. There we go. And then enter. So now we go. We're back to where we were. Go back one more. And so we need to go to phase startup. So this is starting up in 2 and 6 green. I do not have 3 or 7 on, but I am using them, so we need to turn those back on. So it says phase not on, there's no ring or nothing. So went back and forth a few times. It looks like it just refreshed finally, so it's now showing 3 and 7 are up there. And since I'm using peds, I need to tell it what that's phase startup. So plus or minus. There we go. So actually these are peds, so we don't have to, they're not going to be on. I don't believe we need to mess with those, sorry. So no serve faces, I'm not worried about that. Backup prevention, we're just doing a straight 8. I don't know if there's 5s or not, but this is where you turn no backup to serve, so no, that would be your backup prevention. So we'll go back one more here. So sequence and phase config is where we were. Detectors, not messing with the detection, but if we wanted to program it, we had loops. So this is default 1 through 8. So let's say that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 also calls 2, 3, 4, and 6. Okay, so now we got our called phases. Come down here. It says failed recall. You need to turn this up to max, because if you lose your detection, you gotta have this turned on. But once you get this database built, you can just copy and paste it into everything you get in-house, and then these will always be on. So now you don't have to go through each individual detector. You can do a global detector programmers, which is 8. So you can change this one here to do the same thing, and all that's going to do is basically allow you to do, you don't have to go through each individual detector and turn it on down here. This would still say none here, but you wouldn't have to worry about this, because, but I do it in that spot because it's per detector rather than all the way across the board. So then ped detectors, this is standard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you have detection issues with peds not working, you may need to change these. But you just go over, hit your numbers. That's all there is to it. Okay, so we got the detectors. Okay, we need to do volume and occupancy. Nope, I hit the wrong button there. I already was just in there. Number 2, yes. Okay, so yeah. So when you do 1, you get 1 done. You escape, go to 2. You just stay in order. So volume detection. So we're going to say yes on everything we're using. And we're going to tell it occupancy. Arrow over and just hit minus or plus. Just something in order to key there. So we need to extend the light for each one of these, because that's what we want the detection to do. No, don't need one there. Okay. So we need to turn the calls on here. Now, like I said, once I get this done, I can just load this to any controller, and it's a default database, the starting point for me. So we'll back this up 1 here, and since we got that done, we can go back in, double check it held. Everything's held, so we're good there. We don't need to mess with anything else. Those we don't mess with. So now we got the detection programmed. Coordination, we're not going to dive into that today. Let's go into more, which is 9. So we're going to 1. Get a 1 channel config. So these are default. So phase ped, phase vehicles. You can change the control source types of all those. So 2 for options. You can change your flash. So I'm not going to really mess with any of that. I'm going to go into concurrency. I can tell it here to copy the conflict monitor. And as soon as I hit enter there, so it'll save it. And I'm going to here. I don't have anything because there's no conflict monitor hooked up. Alright, so I hit escape to go back to controller. So now I'm going to go to 2 for advanced I/O and 1 for I/O modules. These are your TS2 controller, so let's go through all these. Everything's loaded, so we're going to TS2 cabinet. Yep, went right back. There we go. TS2 small connector A, so there's one. And now we need to turn our MMU on. You can hold the button down and it should cycle up. But you will go right by it, just like I did. Where's my MMU at? There it is. Alright, so MMU, then I'm going to hold this one again, go through it. There's VIU1. Yeah. You gotta watch it and keep going by it. There's VIU2, and we want detector rack 1, so DR1. There we go. So there we go. That's it for that. Escape. Now, if you needed to change your input output, you could do that. You can change some of this stuff here too. I mean, it's pretty well open on what you can do. Since we're done with the advanced I/O, I just hit escape to go back again. I don't need to do any alarms, use special programs, none of that in this case. So we'll hit escape again, and I should hit escape again, and I do believe that's it. So if I go for 1 for status and 1 for summary, you can see we are running. We're running a max M1 and our walks. And if I go back over here to home, you'll see that this is currently now running here. So we're running our yellows and our greens and our reds, and everything's just cycling through. Everything's on recall. And that's all there is to it.